Hey guys, so gonna pop on here. We're gonna do some resin. I'm so excited to get to do this. Let me actually move my chair. If you guys hear thunder, we do have a thunderstorm rolling through. Don't worry, it is fine, all good. Just got some thunder and lightning happening, but what better time to pour some resin? Alrighty, so we're gonna do artist resin, medium viscosity. I just pulled medium and a thin, so always check your bottles. I knew something didn't look right when I did that. So I'm gonna get this poured first, and then I'm gonna clean up this area and set up what we need. But I want to get this poured. And there comes the rain. We might get some hail too, so could be interesting. But we're gonna get this resin poured and get it setting up so that we can get our spinner on and going. So I didn't spray these with anything. I just have the Mod Podge on them. I'm just rolling with that. We're just gonna have that go. So, alright, medium viscosity, part A and B. I picked up for Prime Day, I picked up that mixing cup, so this is the large one. So it looks a little nicer than my yellowed one, as you can see. Same size, but just looks cleaner. So, and new cups that came with it. So, excited. Alright, I like to do B first. It just pours easier. So let's open up our B. And get my handy little tool that I like to use. This is just a Cricut tool that goes in there and you can latch onto this. I don't know what other artists do, if they leave that out once they've opened it for the first time or what. But I like to put it back in, because then it helps keep the air out. This is a 1-in-1 resin by measurement. And you'll notice this B is yellowed. That's fine. It's no biggie. I'm going to use one of these new stir sticks. This came also with that kit that I got on Prime Day. I got that whole set for $4. I was like, steal. But the yellowing won't matter, because one, we're going to mix it and it's going to lose a lot of that yellow just from mixing. And two, it's going to be on this red, and then the other thing is that purple and blue, so totally fine. Okay, scrape that out. I will get some rubbing alcohol in a little bit. I like to go ahead, if I'm thinking about it, put my lid back on, so I don't put the wrong lid on the wrong bottle. I have done that before. It's fixable, but not so fun. Pop this one out. This one's gotten really sticky. I don't know why, but it's like it's all white up in there. I don't know, must be just how it's reacting. A is going to be thicker, so it's going to take a little bit longer to come out. Some people curl up with a book when it's storming. Not me. Apparently I do a tutorial with resin. Although curling up with a good book is always fun. Or a Netflix show. So then we'll get A in there. The reason why I want to get this mixed sooner than later is just so that it can start doing what it needs to chemically. with the mixture and thicken up a little bit before we're throwing it on our tumblers. I like it to be just a smidge thicker so that I can get it situated. I could have used my fast set probably. Would have sped this up, but fast set has just such a strong smell, so with a tutorial, just not something I'm wanting to deal with. A fast set would set up in a couple hours, whereas this will spin overnight. So just scraping as much out as I can. I'm gonna put my lid back on. I'll move these bottles out of my way. That way, since we're working in a tight space, I just get them out. Alrighty. Okay. So like I said, I will clean this up before we actually pour, but we're going to stir. I start out pretty slow, going all the way around and keeping it spin, 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 and scraping our sides as we go, scraping the bottom as we go, and just mixing. The more you pull it up like this, the more bubbles you're gonna get. It's very milky right now. Try to bring it a little closer. So you can see it's very milky. So that means we definitely need to stir more. You could time yourself. Maybe about 3 minutes is about what you would need to stir. I go by look. Look is definitely going to be how I can tell if it's going to be ready or not. I do a lot of mixing, scraping at the edges, scraping the bottom, because I want that to get mixed really well. I'm going to scrape my tool off a few times. Keep doing this. The storm is right on top of us. I saw the lightning and then that thunder just boom right over us. Okay. And my poor hands, sometimes if I've done this so much, my hands just get tired, so I switch hands periodically. I'm dropping a little bit of this mica glitter in here, or the stone mica. I'm not worried about it. So you can tell it's still yellow, but it's getting clearer. When I pick it up, I'm not seeing strings, so that's telling me that we're getting really, really close. I'm gonna go all the way around. Scrape that bottom again. Scrape her tool. That created a little bit of stringiness, so I went ahead and mixed that in pretty good, just to make sure. It's just a big bubble. I could see something in there and I couldn't tell what it was. It was just a big old bubble. So then I'm going to pop that down on my workspace and do this a couple times, just so that that's going to help push those bubbles on up. I'm going to move it out of the way, and I'm going to grab a paper towel, and we're going to get this space prepped for spinning for us. I'm going to grab some rubbing alcohol, put it on a paper towel. I've just got some resin from the jars and the pouring and mixing. I'm going to get off my gloves so that I don't have to take them off. Now, if y'all remember, this had Mod Podge in it. We should just be able to flip it inside out, and look at that. Mod Podge came right on out of there. I'll probably wipe this with a little rubbing alcohol My gracious. I'm gonna be distracted, y'all. I'll probably wipe it with just my paper towel just to get the little extra glitters, but it's done. So pretty cool. Move this guy up out of our way. We're gonna have to get some things to hold that. This is gonna get thrown in this cup. And this is just wax paper from the Dollar Tree, so I'm just gonna get rid of the garbage. Woo! That got really wobbly. That holder and that spinner arm are not probably designed for one another. It's all good, it's all good. I just like to clean my mat in between. Just a quick wipe down. Alright. Just moving our glitters out of our way. Cleaning up this space a little bit. Okay. We are going to set up our spinner. So you guys will get to see a 4-armed spinner. I'm gonna have to make some room. So you'll just see me shimmying things just so that y'all can see what I have going, but also, so this spinner has 4 arms that we're going to attach. So we'll be able to spin all 4 things. I'm going to turn it to where my cord is going to be able to go down to my plug-in. Oops. Sorry, y'all. I kicked a cord and told you. Sorry, it's probably really loud. Alright, so grabbing us some spinner arms. And then, depending on your spinner setup, so where I keep my spinners, it's easier to not have the arms attached. Just because of the space. It takes up a lot of space if you have the whole thing attached. Let me see where this hole is. So, in theory, then I can just attach the arm when I need it, basically. So that's all. And it's just depending on your setup, what's easiest for you. If you have the space that you can keep it set up, then keep the arms on, and that will make it easier for you on this process. Advantage though is that our resin needed to sit, so we can let them sit. Actually, I am going to, put one of these on this side. So that's already got a holder. Let's see if this is gonna hold this. Probably not. Nope. We need a better one. So I have different attachments, different sizes, depending on what I'm doing. So like, that's gonna be probably too big. Okay. So that's gonna give me an idea. This might actually work really good, although it may not go in far enough. Yeah, because it's going to stick out. And I don't want that because I'm going to get it all over that if I do that. Okay. Trial and error, trial and error. Yeehaw. This might work. Let's see if that will work. Oh, no. It's not gonna work because it's not big enough. That one would have been good, except it just... Try this. It's like a trial and error. I think I could get it to work if I can get it started in there. And then I could, I guess, always tape it off. Get it on and then I'll never get it out. I've done that before, actually, where I've gotten one in and I had to go on like a recovery mission to get it out. It was rather interesting, we shall say, and I didn't recommend it if you don't have to. Okay, I think this will work. There we go. I pulled a lot of that off, so we might sprinkle more on when we get it, but I'm gonna have to check our resin here in just a second because I'm a little worried it might be time-wise. We gotta be conscious of that. I don't ever like. I should probably pay a little more close attention and like time myself and like monitor that, but I don't. Just kind of roll with it. It's the one problem about working in such a tight area is that when you have a nice big spinner like this, that you are out of room to get everything hooked up. Sorry, you're probably seeing the top of my head, but bear with me, you won't for long. Get this on here. I don't love this one, but I think it's okay. It's just the best it's gonna be. It's the best it's gonna be. So basically, I'm just trying to offset weight-wise. So I'm putting my cups on either opposite siding, basically. I'll move that camera view for you guys too here in a minute. And then basically putting my odd ones on the other way. So this one, I have a big old piece that will go in it, but I don't think it will nestle all the way in. So I may have to tape him off just to avoid a bunch of resin getting on my foam. Okay, let's take that off. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Where all these pieces have so much glitter that's coming off on me. And then tape and gloves don't mix well, as y'all probably know. Okay. And then, yeah, we need to check our resin. And I'll move that camera view just a smidge so that y'all can see the tumbler a smidge better, because I don't want it to be too close over here and run off on us. Okay, so we're gonna have to take our gloves off probably. Well, it's fine, it's fine. Maybe not. Yeah, I'm gonna take one of these off. Let's see. So what I wanted to do didn't work. So what we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna end up just going around and around. That way, if any resin decides to seep off the top there, we've hopefully detoured it from getting onto our foam. So, there we go. Okay, that's gonna work. All right, let me get this glove back on, and then we will be nearly ready. Ready. Okay, let me move this our way. Bye with me here. Just gotta move a few things out of our space so that I have room, and then I like just a cheap silicone. I already have the big silicone mats that are on underneath. These are, the big ones are from Counterculture DIY, and they are fantastic and work wonderful, and the resin won't stick to them. However, when I'm doing tumblers, I like to throw a cheap one underneath my space where I'm doing that. That way any over runneth resin just lands on that, and it makes it a lot easier to clean up. Because then I can just pick that. You can see this is from the last one. I haven't even cleaned it yet. But then I just pull that out from underneath and it's done. Okay, so let's try to get y'all a little bit better view. Don't mind while I move y'all around. Alright, so you're gonna have close to all four. Maybe if I came all the way out on it. So you just might not see me doing this one fully, but I think then you'll be able to closely, for the most part, be able to see these ones. One day I'll have it a little bit better set up. And oh, well, that didn't work. I'm gonna pause y'all so I'm not making you dizzy here. Hang on. Okay, so I think we're a lot better. Hopefully that will stay. I had to get up on a chair to be able to even see. So that's fine. Alrighty, let's check this resin because I'm a little bit worried about it. Oh yeah, we're getting thicker. We got some bubbles here on the top, so we're going to just take our heat gun. I always like to turn it on away from my resin, see if there's any dust on it, and then just hit it gently. You hit your sides, help pop some of those bubbles, and hit the bottom, not too much, because you just don't want that heat to start making it fast cure. But it's looking good. So I'm going to set it down. I'm going to turn this spinner on. Plug it in first. You know, details. So this has 4 controls, so I can do whichever ones I want. So this one's spinning the direction I want it, which is great. I'm going to adjust its setting just a smidge so that it's sitting maybe just a smidge better on the arm. This one's not spinning the direction I want, so I'm going to turn it on and off. Now it's spinning the way that I want it, so that's good. That one's a weird angle just because of the type of shape it is. This one's also not spinning the way I want it, nor is that one, so we're just going to, nice, this one cooperated right away. There we go. So now they're spinning the direction I like them for putting resin on. I'm going to get a couple paper cups. That way it's easier to pour from a paper cup than it is to pour a big old thing of resin like this. It's a little less messy. I am going to, the only bad thing I did when I did this, I didn't plan accordingly, and I should have put this guy on the back side, because I'm going to do him first because of the glitters. The color, actually I'm going to have to switch gloves anyway. Let's do all the reds and then I'll do that. This is getting warm. I can feel it when I poured it. So I definitely want to get pouring onto our piece. And I'm just going to pour a little bit at a time and use my fingers to help bring it up and around. And when you start to feel your resin warming like that, you definitely have limited amount of time, or you could start having a flash cure. So I just want to make sure that we get this on and are ready to roll. Now, glitters and micas are gonna suck in the resin a little bit because they're porous in a sense, so you're gonna have to go a little bit thicker. And I poured that on my fingers so that I could just get the bottom. This is not gonna be our last coat though. You're gonna have to do more than one coat, especially when doing glitters and resin and so forth. I'm gonna do the mica part here, just since I have that all over this glove right now. If you get going a little too fast for your spinner, you can always catch it and bring it back around. Resin is going to naturally self-level, so it's already starting to want to level out on the cup as it spins, which is good. That's what you want. And that's why you saw that I kind of adjusted them so that they sat a little bit better. That's because I wanted them to be as flat as possible, or level as possible, I should say. Not really flat, but I'm gonna put a smidge more on this guy. Not much. And that's why right there that I do a cheap silicone mat underneath, because I just dripped all over. And then I'm going to go ahead and start with this. I'm a little bit worried about the resin just because it is pretty warm to touch. Might have sat just a smidge too long. I just know that we're running out of our work time with it. So So I'm just trying to get it on as quickly as possible, but also consistent. And I can usually tell like when it's starting to not want to hold the resin, or it's like repelling it. It's partly because I didn't have enough in that area. So just adding more to it, and then also changing the way that I'm putting the resin on. So I like to go this way, and then I like to go up or down lengthwise. We're going to shift a few of those stone micas down into the rest of it, and that's fine. And put it on pretty thick. And I know that I just wasted a ton of resin right there. I'll just scoop it up and bring it to this cup. Whew, it's getting warm. Getting warm fast. Get this on here. That's the only bummer when you're doing so many, is that you're mixing so much resin that it can start to react a lot faster than maybe you want it to. And the fact it took me a little bit longer to do a setup, get the camera straight, etc. So now this right hand glove is just a mess. It's full of resin. You guys hear me say I don't like to waste. I don't try to only use them once. But when I'm pouring like this right hand's going to be so covered in resin that the glove's not going to be worth saving. And that's fine. Okay. Now, I do, before I pour onto my other color, I'm going to just try to wipe a little bit off of this glove. And I don't think the red's going to mess it up too much, because there is pink in this, so I think it would just blend just fine. You know it's warm when I'm like, ooh, I can feel it through that glove. It is warm. But good news is this is about done. Bad news is I still have quite a bit of resin. When you have glitters, I have a hard time knowing exactly how much to mix, just because, like I said, they will, what I call, drink up the resin. So it's, the next layer will not need to be as much. So it's good to know that. Okay, so good. Can't really tell where my beginning or my end is on this one, like where I started and didn't start. So it's a little confusing. Same with these, just because I don't have like a good starting point. They all look the same. But I'm just adding like a real thin, sorry if that's bumping y'all, it's just a cord in the way. Just a real thin layer, and let that level itself out, just so that it's making sure that I'm getting a good coat on. And that's already really leveling out beautifully. So I don't think they need any more, so I'm going to take that glove off and go right into the garbage with it, and grab another glove for my hand. Although before I do that, I'm gonna put a little rubbing alcohol like I do, and just, I'm not even using my other hand, I'm just, until now, just trying to get a layer of that resin off of there. Okay, so those look fantastic. They are spitting nicely. They look good. This one could use a smidge on its bottom. So I'm just gonna use 2 fingers and just kind of go around the bottom. This one too could maybe. I find bottoms for me are always the ones that kind of get maybe left behind. So I try to focus on them, especially on this first layer, just to make sure that I'm getting a layer. But this resin's getting really tacky. All right, so tacky meaning it's getting thick. It's ready to be curing and not be worked with much longer. Now, I have this, I don't know if y'all can see where I'm at, so I'm gonna move it here. I have this like dump pour that I've been working on that I've essentially just pour any extra resin in and we see what happens. It's not any special science. So I'm gonna do that with it because it's got the reds and the oranges going. I'm gonna throw some of this in here. You'll note that I'm being very careful not to bump my current projects that are spinning. I'm going to take a couple scoops of this glitter. And then I'm going to just, it's getting so thick, mix that around and let it do its thing. It's the bottom, so I'm not super worried about it because it's going to get unmolded. This is probably the last layer it needs before it comes out of the mold. And so, and where it's the bottom, not super worried, but it's fun. Let's double check our, they're looking really good actually. This bottom over here is still not great, but I don't want to go too much more because it's getting so thick. I'm afraid it won't self-level. It's gonna start sticking where it's at. All right, now I've got a little bit more resin, so let me grab a mold I can just dump into. I don't want too big of a mold, just because I do want it to not flash cure in the mold. I don't want it to be a deep pour or anything like that. But there's not a lot in here. And I'm sorry if this isn't on camera. I can't see because it's too high up. But I'll move this into camera view for sure in a moment. I'm just trying to get basically all the resin out of this cup before I move it in. All right, I did pretty good. Pretty non-wasteful. So there's that. That will be fun to clean up. I'm gonna wipe off my gloves as much as I can. Now the paper cup that I used, it will sit on my mats and just sit there and whatever. It's gonna be fine. It's not going nowhere. So when it hardens up, it will just get tossed in the trash. Easy peasy. All right, let's see if I have you in view. Don't mind me while I climb on my chair. Oh yeah, sweet. Y'all can see me. Okay, good. So with this one, what I am going to do is I am going to use some alcohol rubbing alcohol, not rubbing alcohol, alcohol inks, I should say, and make this one. I'm going to go with the red theme just because that's primarily what we had. And I shook this quickly, shook it a bit. I'm not going to want to add too crazy amount because it's going to thin that resin out. But I want some thickness. Let's see here. Oh yeah, let's do this. This one's like a shimmer one. Shimmer ones get really separated, so you gotta shake them really well. I'm gonna do 2 drops of it. They're in the center. And then, I think I should do a drop of white. That one's not open. Gotta find one that's open. I have some. I just got to find it. Okay. Oh, that one's not open either. Dang it. Maybe this one is. Oh yeah. Okay. The white's gonna just help distribute that a little bit. And then, let's see here. Oh yeah, I grabbed an orange, so that'll be fun. Although it doesn't really look like orange, does it? It's like, okay, is it really? You're like, sure. It's not orange. Alright, then I guess I'm gonna use this again, but I want the other side. This has just like a little tip. It's not anything crazy, but I'm just gonna kind of manipulate it by pushing those alcohol inks into the sides where the clear is so that it mixes. It's almost like reverse mixing. Like I poured into the mold and now I'm mixing. And that's basically what I'm doing. Just going all the way around. I'll probably create some bubbles doing this, but that's okay. Just because it's a dump mold, I'm not like overly concerned. Some of my like really awesome pieces though come from this kind of stuff. So, and then I don't think it matters, but I'm just wiping a lot of that into the sides. And then we'll create something pretty probably on that bottom, the next pour, but so I'm gonna actually just wipe that off so that the next pour, yeah, it'll have some of the red, but it's not gonna be full on red. I mean, we'll probably do red again, but there. So that would cure up. One thing you can do is just pop it back down onto the thing. That helps the resin go into all the crevices. Pops it down. It's sticking a little bit to that just because I spilled so much resin onto that mat. It's kind of a mess. Okay, now cleanup of our cups. Because I like cleanup now opposed to later. And then we'll cover these and these will sit overnight. Look at that. And the storm is over. See? So, rubbing alcohol on napkin. And I'm just wiping it off. This first round, just get the first layer off. That's all I'm really worried about. And I'm going to go back over them. Now this is going to be a sticky mess. So I don't worry because I've already wiped off my stir stick and everything. So then I'm going to use that same napkin to go around and around. And pull as much of the resin out of the cup as I can, so that maybe 1 or 2 more times and that's going to be ready. Then get a fresh one. My container gets kind of sticky, so periodically like I'll clean it off just to help. But now that I've got a clean, fresh one, that stir stick's done. Make sure that you put them at somewhere they're not going to affect your work because they need to finish drying. Let that rubbing alcohol evaporate. And not put them back in resin. Done that. Okay, so this has got some resin on it, but not as bad as the last one. So round and round we go. And in between, cleaning your gloves does help so that you're not re-dirtying from one to the other. The worst is the glitter. I've already gotten so much glitter all over this cup, so that's nice. These have part A and part B. They won't cure up because they don't have both parts to make the reaction. So I go ahead while I'm doing this process and I just work to clean them out. And you'll notice I used the one that lasted that one to do the first round of that one. And it's not done because it's going to need another round. This will probably be good for this one. The inside is relatively clean. Round and round we go. Now the outside definitely has glitter on it. It's somewhat coming off. Probably some tape when it's fully dry and that'll be done. Now because this was the dirty one again, I'm going to take the other part. I don't remember which one was which, but it doesn't matter. They're not going to seal up. So I find that 2 fingers is the easiest, wrapping them in the paper towel. And again, round and round we go. These 2 will be done with this. And then these gloves I can reuse because they've gotten a full clean just like that. Here. The paper cup sits, it will get tossed at the end when all this is hardened. So easy peasy. Oh, we got some bubbles going on our mold over here, which is to be expected. Now the bubbles, any bubbles on the turners, you're not going to see because of the glitter, unless you had a big old fat bubble. Now I keep watching for fish eyes or anything where the resin is repelling. I'm not seeing anything, so they look good. There's a couple spots that look funky, but it's just because of the that stone mica. Let's see if that bubble will pop. There's a couple bubbles. Okay. Oops. A little crazy. Okay, let's get. This is just some rubbing alcohol in a little spray bottle. We'll spritz it on top of that. Since the heat wasn't working to get those bubbles, we just use that. And then I'm going to use a little, I keep pumping that one, I think. It's starting to cure up, that's why. Okay. There's one little spot here. Let's see if I can get just enough resin in there that it's, I don't know, this resin is deciding to thicken on us. Fill in that little bubble hole. Okay. And this is just a silicone brush. Easy peasy, wipe it off. Alright, last thing before we go is we want to protect these against dust and particles in the air. So we want to put a cover on them. And if you've watched my previous videos, then you know what I use is an empty tote that is not going to fit for one side. So, because this is a double spinner, so we're going to go like this, but we're going to have to move that one in a little bit. There we go. Touch the bottom of that cup. I didn't want to do that, but is what it be, right? Is what it be. Okay. So glad I still have my gloves on, because I did get resin on my hand otherwise. Alrighty. So this is where I have 2 totes available for this resin. Get this one on right there, and there we go, y'all. So those will spin overnight. They'll sit there. I dripped a big chunk of resin on my turner right there. Wipe that off. That was my paper towel that had some rubbing alcohol on it that I used to clean my glove. So pull my gloves off, let that sit overnight spinning, and then I'll come in, turn off the spinners, and let them finish curing up, and we'll do the next round of them. Hope y'all are enjoying, and have a good night.